This is part one of a two-part podcast. You can catch both parts of the podcast on prideofwest.london. This is the Beesotted Pride of West London podcast. And we're coming to you because I was very, very excited, actually. This is the end of season podcast coming to you from the Globe.
Hooray!
Hold on, shall I do it again? It's coming to you from the Globe.
Hooray!
We've had lots of beer.
Hooray!
Lots of food.
Hooray!
We're in the Globe.
Hooray!
And tell you something, I'm smiling here, I'm laughing here because we've had a fantastic season as fans. Brentford have had a fantastic season. We know many people have had fantastic seasons. We also know some people that haven't had such a great season. We might be talking about them a little bit later on this podcast. But tell you something, I've got a right group of chums around the table with me here now. And as you can hear, we've got a full pub here. It's absolutely brimming with characters as well, like, you know what I'm saying. But we'll forget about them because we're going to concentrate on the people here. We're going to be talking about Brentford. Fantastic season, the Premier League this season, football this season, what's been going on in and around the season 22-23. I've got to the left of me, I've got Laney in the house. Laney, how are you?
Hey! Oh, sorry. Hello, mate. What a season! What a bloody season that was. That was incredible. It's been the season of my life, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you, the listeners, and I'm looking forward to going around the table and sharing some memories with the people that are here in the Globe tonight. Because, as I said, it's a season that we never really expected. We hoped that we would do well, but I'm not quite sure that we thought we would do this well with some of the scalps that we've taken. So brilliant, lots of brilliant things to talk about tonight. So enjoy and thank you.
Hey! This is the season of your life.
Yes.
Oh, your music aficionados out there, you might recognise that one. But anyway, we shall move on. Okay, right, so listen, we're in the house here. Tell you something, I'm going to go to the right of me here as well. We've got the man in the house who's got all sorts of facts. And in fact, he was up there on the table dancing earlier to some James Brown. We have some JBs in the house. JB, how you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you, Bill. Yes.
I was lying, wasn't I?
You were. I wasn't anywhere near a table. No, but it's great to look back on great to be physically here in the Globe and to look back on the season. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it. And tell you something, I've heard you've got some facts and some funk for us later as well.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of that as well, yeah.
Secret as well, because you've not let us into any information at all, have you, JB?
No, it'll be a surprise to you and to me.
I told you, that means that me and Lady said this before, he's making it up, isn't he?
Oh, we said like before we started, we'd like to think he makes at least one thing up every week, but I think it's actually all true.
Listen, I'm going to go around this way. We've got Lewis Holmes, the Bee, in the house. Lewis, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you, Bill. It has been an incredible season. I'll just pile on the hyperbole. It's been absolutely amazing. It exceeded my expectations. It exceeded everybody's expectations, and I'm still walking on the wave a little bit from it, actually, to be honest.
Walking on sunshine.
Walking on sunshine, mate. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to sing it. Absolutely not. Going to sing
I'm going through all the musical interludes here as well. I'm saying as well, which is all good. Like I'm saying, I'm feeling in the post-season musical mode. And talking about musical modes, we've got the Dutchman who's like at gigs every other day as well. The Dutch is in the house. Dutch, how are you?
Very well, thanks. Chum Billy. Great to finally make an appearance this season. I've done a bit of a Lewis McLeod this year, so delighted to suddenly reappear right at the end to give you my usual made-up nonsense and opinions on, as you've all said, an amazing season, which, I know there's some people saying that they expected this and they knew it would be all right. It's surpassed everybody's expectations. Don't let anybody kid you. It's been amazing.
It's been absolutely... You said you've done a McLeod. Does that mean that you've been falling over twigs? Is that correct?
Falling over twigs.
Falling over twigs.
Falling over twigs, probably that as well. Falling over twigs, something like that. But
and ditches and that.
Ditches, twigs, minor strains, but I can't be treated for any injuries during my ban.
Listen, you're also not allowed to talk about it, the Dutchman. Okay, listen, that's right. Yeah. What coach? Listen, we've got Ali Mullalley in the house, in the place. Ali, how are you?
Is it August the 12th yet?
Yes.
Oh, good. So we could get to the game.
No.
Why are we here? Oh, I can't wait for the next season. This one has just been, like everybody said, surpassed all expectations. It's been absolutely brilliant, and I cannot wait for the next one.
I'm going to ask. I'm going to be sort of devil's advocate here, because this season's been so good. Then surely you should be sitting here reveling in this season, because maybe next season will come and it won't be as good. So maybe you should just wait and let that season just kind of hold on for a bit.
Yeah, but life without football is not the same, is it?
Well, it's true. Football is life.
Also
Okay, listen. If you watch a certain series or program out there, you would know exactly what we're talking about here. We might talk about that a little bit later as well. And like I said to you, my name is Billy Grant here, and I am here with my chums inside here, and I am going to enjoy myself tonight. I'm going to talk about this season with a big smile on my face as we go. But anyway, listen. A lot of people here may not, because we haven't done one of these for a while. I think the lockdown kind of smashed this for us, actually, and I'm saying so. We haven't done one for a couple of years at least. But how it works is that we sit around the table here and we just talk about the things that we are happy with, the things that we are sad thing, the thumbs up, the good things, the bad things about this season, the funny things about this season, and we'll just go through it and we'll just discuss it. And it'll be interesting to hear your thoughts as well as to what your thoughts are. I mean, you can listen and you can actually tweet us, or you can send us messages, and we may even read it out sometime, or we might post them out there at some stage just to find out what your views are on that, if they differ from the Beesotted crew. But I'll tell you something, we're just going to start off straight away, just to go straight into this one as well. So we're going to start off actually, because I'm going to find out what was your favourite moment. And when I say to you, is that your favourite, not favourite moment, I'm going to say your best game of the season. So I'm going to go around, I'm going to start with JB.
Oh, the best game of the season for me was Man United 4-0. I mean, sitting there watching that fourth goal go in, and turn to my son next to me and Tony on the other side of me, and just
Ivan Tony.
No.
What was he doing at the time?
The stadium, no. And just thinking, we're beating Man United 4-0, and sort of pinching ourselves that this was really happening. This is second season syndrome. But that was an amazing moment, that one I never, ever thought I'd ever see in all my years of supporting Brentford. And that was it for me.
That's it. Listen, Ali, your favourite game, best game of the season?
Oh, I was going to say, is it moment or game?
No, that's the best game of the season.
Best game of the season. The United one is right up there, but it's got to be City away, because you just travel in hope rather than expectation. And I remember saying to my kids on the way up, saying that anything that 2-0 lost is a good result. Anything that's not a battering is a good result. And it's sort of like, we were brilliant, and we came away. And, God, when that goal went in, it was just phenomenal. It was just never known limbs like it. It was brilliant.
The Dutchman, your best game of the season?
I better not say Man U, I guess. Spurs away was pretty special for me. Growing up and working with some dear friends who are Spurs fans, who've talked football and nonsense with me for many years, not really knowing who my team was, and obviously not beating them until then. That for me was our moment where, and it came a bit late in the season, but for me that's really arriving as a top team when you beat your mates' teams like that. And a few of you know one of the characters involved, and he was quite magnanimous and gracious afterwards. And I think even he accepts now we belong at this level, which is a massive breakthrough.
Teams like that, yeah?
Hashtag teams like that.
Lewis Holmes.
This is a bit like when you're doing sports day and all the good players get picked first, because all the good answers. So I'll take Liverpool at home, the 3-1. Looked very comfortable in that game. Didn't really look under that much pressure in that game. Went toe to toe with a Titan and beat them comfortably. So yeah, Liverpool at home, brilliant.
And I'm going to interject there as well. I was going to go for Liverpool as well, so I've got nothing else to say on that one as well, other than it was a rather marvellous moment as well, because it's one of those ones, I wouldn't say weren't expecting it, but it was like just after the new year. We were inside the pub. It was a late kick-off as well, so we did our usual Ted Lasso run. We went down to the Ted Lasso pub in the morning in Richmond, and we did our little run up the river as well to Kew, had a few beers in Kew, and then we came across here to the Globe, and then the Liverpool fans were in here, who are lovely, as they always are, and then bang, into that game. And the thing about it is that by the time you get the game, because you've tried to kick football out of football, you think, yeah, whatever the result, we don't really care. Then, boyish, we got that result and we played wicked, we played football, we just outclassed them that day. And for me, that was like the ultimate day. Ted Lasso in the morning, smashing for Liverpool in the afternoon. You can't get better than that. Laney.
Well, Liverpool was on my list as well. So for the purposes of variety, I'm going to say doing the double over West Ham again, because I think we've done the double over West Ham now. And if it wasn't for you already stealing Liverpool, that would be. I'm not going to die on the sword for this West Ham double, but it was great. because they're a very good team. There's no two ways about it. They're way underachieving for the amount of money they spent, the players they've got, and I think it's just like a brilliant benchmark for us. If we are beating teams like West Ham, home and away in both seasons, we're doing a lot right. So we're safe.
Real safe, Ali.
I was just going to say, none of us have mentioned beating Fulham at home.
No, because maybe because
I know, but we're all saying what was your best match of the season, and a couple of seasons ago it would have been right up there, isn't it? And it's just this is the achievement of the season.
Well, I think because we always beat Fulham, and B, maybe there's other moments from the Fulham match that might come later on into this podcast. That's right. So anyway, listen, just going around just quickly, just briefly, because we don't want to talk about this too much because it's a bit. We don't want to put it down on this podcast because we want to keep it up. Let's keep it up, moving on up. Tell you something, I'm in music mode, as you can tell today. But anyway, worst game of the season. I'm going to go over to the Dutchman.
Worst game, I think Villa away was pretty annoying because it was over so quickly. I mean, Newcastle wasn't much better, but at least we made a fight. Villa away, I think the expectation and then getting there and Gerrard having gone and the fans were up for it and just needs to keep it tight for the first 10 minutes, really, didn't we? Which we absolutely royally screwed up. And we're 3-0 down after about 9 or whatever it was. That was pretty poor. Probably the worst one for me.
Laney.
Well, I feel bullied into saying Fulham away now. So Fulham away for me because first away game of the season, and it was a really gorgeous sunny day, and we were 2-0 down. Literally gave them 2 goals. We thought we fought our way back. Great Norgard goal before the break, and then we thought Tony had equalised VAR. And then he did equalise, and I thought we more than deserved a point. And then Fatrovic scored late on, and we slunk off with our tail between our legs.
Yeah, he certainly did through the park, and all those Fulham fans were going, are you Billy the Bee? Are you Laney? You just lost. We went, yes, we did. Goodbye. JB.
Personally, going to Villa, I wanted to go to Villa Park this season, and then to see us just collapse like we did. And when you look at the stats, because that was the one game where Ben Mee didn't play, and that was the only time he sat on the bench throughout the whole game. But the new
that was not going to happen again, is it?
No. I think he cemented his place back in the team after that. But even looking at the 5-1 against Newcastle, that was the first time since 2016 that we'd been on the receiving end of 5 goals, which Norwich, yeah.
No, the knowledge,
which just it kind of puts into perspective what kind of journey we've been on in the last few years, seeing that kind of beating, and it was a one-off, and the only time Reyes let in more than 3 in those 2 games in all the time he's been with us.
And it's going to be the only time he's going to let in that many goals for Brentford, isn't it? But anyway, we won't talk about that.
Yeah, moving on.
Yeah, because this is a timeless podcast. But anyway, Lewis the Holmes.
I've got to agree with the Dutchman. It's Villa. 3 goals in the first 10-15 minutes, and weren't really in it after that. It was really horrible. It was really, really bad. And it wasn't Unai Emery either. It was the interim Danks. I want to say his name's Danks. It was the interim guy. Fair play. Hats off. G'd him up. Absolutely battered us. And it was one to forget.
And for me, I'm going to go quick on this one because it wasn't the 4-0 Villa and it wasn't the 5-1 Newcastle, actually. It was actually, and just choose whichever one you want, Bournemouth. Either home or away, but those 2 are proper stinkers of a game. I cannot remember anything good about that game at all, so we will move on. So, Ali. I'm sorry, there we go. Actually, she's dressed in pink in front of me, but I can't see pink, you see, because I'm colourblind, I'm pink blind. Ali Mullalley.
I was going to say Villa away, but I didn't have Villa away or Wolves away. We were awful at Wolves away. We were really, really poor that day.
Thomas Frank didn't think we were.
No, I very rarely disagree with Thomas, but I think on that occasion he wasn't quite watching the same game.
The stats didn't think we were either.
Well, I thought we were awful.
But whatever you think, though, Ali, is what counts.
My personal opinion, and everybody's opinions matter.
That is right. Okay, so listen, let's go around. Best opposition team. I'm going to go over to Lewis.
I think it was Newcastle. Home and away, they were just very, very organised, very rigid, very sorted. Just really good at what they do. A bit like the Cobra Kai and Karate Kid without the cheating. They were just very strong at all round.
Dutch.
Arsenal at our ground were superb. I thought they took us apart, really. At their ground, we were a lot more organised and structured and had luck on our side. But at our ground, I thought they were exceptional for that win. That's really the only team I've seen take us apart since we've gone up at our grounds. Looked really good, and at that point of the season, they looked like they were going to walk away with the title, didn't they? And things caught up with them in the end. But I think at that point in time,
That was our fault, though, apparently, wasn't it?
Well, that's come on to a magic moment later on.
Okay. Okay. For me, I'm going to come on to me as well. For me, Brighton away, not at home, but Brighton away. I thought they were absolutely phenomenal, and the football they played was out of this world. I have got no idea how we got a point out of that game. The game was brilliant. We went ahead 3 times. We scored 3 great goals, to be fair. But I thought Brighton. I thought just Brighton, the football that they played, the coach, the new coach who came in for Potter, has done a brilliant job for them, and I've noticed a lot of people are also giving them props. They were top dollar. JB.
I guess Arsenal for me again. I mean, we had that great win over them last year in our first game, and we always sort of held. Back in the day, we were always beating Arsenal, but this year they were just a class above us. And yeah, likewise at that point in time, I thought they were going to go on and win the title.
There you go, Laney.
I got to agree with you. I think Brighton were the best home and away. I'm still not quite sure how we beat them at home. I thought they were. I thought that was a draw. I thought we did brilliantly to come out of that with 3 points at their place. Again, that could have been any score you care to mention. It could have been 5-3 to them. It could have been anything. But I'll give it to Gillingham for taking us to extra time and penalties. There's not many teams can do that. Fair play with Gillingford.
So listen, we're going to move on, and we're going to go for Ali Mullalley, actually. this is. I am actually doing this on purpose because I know it's going to completely and utterly wind her up. Actually, Ali's now taking her pink top off because she knows that I'm pink colourblind.
I haven't really got anything to add beyond Arsenal at our place, where I thought they were sublime that day. It was just, you have to take your hat off and just watch how they played beautiful football that day. They were sublime.
I'm going to go.
Can I just say the only thing about the Arsenal game, it was a bit of an odd morning, wasn't it? It was a game that was moved, and it was rearranged for the Queen's funeral or something, and it was like 6:30 in the morning kickoff. It was really odd. And we weren't allowed to sing before the game, and it was just it was very very subdued and very somber and solemn. And I just didn't think like the vibe was there for us getting behind the team, and I just think we suffered because of that. And I'm glad they're still crying about the VAR at their place.
Indeed. Okay, so listen, we're going to move on. Goal of the season. Brentford, goal of the season. They ran a goal of the season competition, which was run by Ivan Toney. And I believe it was Brian Mbeumo. Sorry, Brian Mbeumo. But interesting, the Man United Brian Mbeumo goal. They gave him goal of the season. But that was actually interesting because the cut-off and the voting was actually cut off before the end of the season. So we have the opportunity here to actually kind of look at which goals that we think are goal of the season. So, and maybe we could just talk through a few of these goals. I'm going to start off with Ali Mullalley over here.
What am I talking about? Only the goals since Tony got banned. Only the goals since Tony got banned.
What are you talking about?
Am I only allowed to talk about the goals that Tony got banned since Tony got banned here? Brian's second goal against.
You talk about any goal of the season.
Brian's second goal against Tottenham, I thought was excellent. Was really well taken. Brian's none goal against Liverpool was also an excellent goal. But my goal of the season is Tony's backheel nutmeg against Brighton, which was just like, did he really just do that? It was amazing goal. I can't believe it didn't win goal of the season.
JB.
Brian's against Man United. That's the one I voted for. Was one that won. I just thought that was one end of the pitch to the other, just breathtaking. I could watch that goal all over again.
Lewis.
Tony's free kick against Leeds over the wall, absolutely just ridiculous. Like, we just thought that guy was a normal striker, and then he did that. It's amazing.
While we're talking about this, do you think that free kick there that he did, because obviously the ball was stationary and he put it into the top corner, do you think that was better than Harry Kane's free kick for Tottenham against us?
Harry Kane's ball was moving slightly, wasn't it? It was slightly wrong-footed Raya and broke the wall up a little bit. So yes, it was.
There you go. The Holmes knows it all as well. Laney.
I'm going to go same game. Ivan Toney's chip for his hat trick against Leeds. It was calamitous, beautiful. It was poetry. It was all the things you would want a goal against Leeds to be like. It teased them. It kind of like he literally, it was like a cat playing with a mouse, wasn't it? He nutmegged like one defender, the goalkeeper. I'll mention later on. He came like he was tempted out of his goal. There was a defender that was kind of running back to be on the line, and he lobbed it over the goalkeeper and over the head of the running defender, and it hit the back of the net. And I think we just weed ourselves a little bit in when we jumped up and down. I think there was some spillage, B.
Not from me, but maybe from yourself. And thanks for admitting it now, lady. I'm just going to say as well, because I'm going to say that as well. That Leeds clip for me as well, I think was for me the goal of the season. And I would have said goal of the season, not only because of the goal itself, because it was taken really well, but also because of the moment. Because obviously the season before, the fact that we didn't put Leeds down, I think there's a lot of people that are very, very, very upset that we didn't put them down. And it actually spoilt their season in the end. We had a great season last season, but it almost like that last game spoilt it a bit. So when we came and played Leeds so early and we smashed them off the park, and then he tipped that, which is almost like just taking the piss out of them, saying, listen, mate, you're lucky. It's almost like you're saying, you're lucky we didn't play you with this team now, like last season, you know what I'm saying? And he did that. That was really great. But however, for me, I have to say, when we went to Tottenham, Brian Mbeumo, that second goal for me, when he scored that second goal, I was just like, the way that he took it, the way that the ball came across, the way that we made that goal from Tottenham, I thought that was one hell of a goal, and I think he was very unlucky. Well, actually, he got it anyway, you know what I'm saying? But he was really unlucky that wasn't voted goal of the season, because I thought that was an absolutely magnificent goal. Let's go round to the Dutchman.
You've stolen most of mine, which is but I'll go two if I may. I thought Josh De Silva's goal against Leicester was quite special. Might be a magic moment as well in there somewhere, but that was an important point for us at the start of the season and got us on the right track. But I'll go for Matty's goal against Man U when he mugged who outside the area.
That Danish chap.
Yeah, no, fantastic. You know, for him who didn't score goals, upped his game, pivotal moment. I think kick-started his season. You know, the fact it was with Christian, who I think that was a great moment. I thought it was a really, really good start. Both goals at the start of the season for me got our season onto the right start.
And Laney.
You've had mine already.
Oh yeah, I've done the full Monty actually. I tell you what we're going to do actually, because we've gone through quite a few little bits and pieces. We're going to take a little break because we need to go to the bar to refill our beers. Relight your fire. And then we're going to come. That's right, relight my fire. Yeah, he's got me on the musical front there. You know what I'm saying? Tell you something. Like, there we go. Okay, and then we're going to come back and we are going to continue to talk about the season that has just been. So we're back from the bar in the Globe. Yay! They're still lively, and I like the liveliness going on here. Like I said to you, like old school podcasts. So you want to check out our old school podcasts? So you're sitting there in the summer with nothing to listen to. Literally, you've got 1,000 podcasts you can listen to. Listen to any of them from 2019 or 2018 or 2017 or 2016. All them seasons where we used to sit in the pub and get very, very happy and discuss all sorts of stuff. You'll probably find them very funny. Even though they're old school, there's probably lots of stuff there that you could probably still relate to. So go and check them out, prideofwest.london. But anyway, and what we might do is actually I've got a couple of ideas. I've got a couple of...
I think what we'll do. We'll just like republish a random one, like Huddersfield away in 2017, just like as the latest one. Just out.
No, I've got an idea. I've got a couple of little ideas because I've got a little idea. Like I said to you, and this is it's a timeless podcast, but this is going through the summer. And I've got a little idea for a little feature called If You Know Your History. And what we may do is that we just may discuss sort of, just games or times in our history, maybe over the past 10 years or so. Pop up a few little podcasts and we could talk about that as you do on the reminiscent front. So, the Lewis Holmes.
My problem with that, Bill, is I can't remember what I did yesterday, so be nice.
We understand. I can tell from your answers that is very, very true. You know what I'm saying? Which is fine. We haven't got a problem with that. But anyway, listen, let's move forward, actually, because we've been talking about some fantastic things so far, and we've talked about your favourite game, but what we want to know is what your favourite moment of the season is. I'm going to go straight over to Ali Mullalley.
Oh, favourite moment, easily Jensen robbing Eriksson for that goal against United. It was just brilliant. Loved it for all the reasons that you could think of. For him leaving us, for Jensen, that was when he stepped up. That's what turned him. I think the moment that turned him into player was, and it was just the sweetest moment of all the players to rob. It was Eriksson. It was beautiful.
Lovely, JB.
Well, quite sadly, because I like stats and stuff, I love the game, watch the game, and then I'm always thinking, what came out of that game? What was interesting out of that I could use on next week's podcast? And the Spurs game, we were 1-0 down at half time, and then we scored 3 second-half goals. And in my head, I put this out a few weeks ago, didn't I? But I was thinking, that can't happen very often. And then working on the spreadsheets to find out 2,000 away games, if we're losing at half time, 8 out of 10 of those we go on to lose. And then you find out that 1-0 down at half time to win 3-1 has only happened 13 times out of 2,000 games before. And that was the 14th time. So it really was a moment. But for me, the moment was trying to find the stats to justify to work that one out.
Typical JV. He's not feeling the moment. He's feeling the spreadsheet, rummaging, which is fair play. Each to their own, JV.
I had the abacus out and the calculator. It was great fun.
and the fact you brought the abacus down the pub, I'm very impressed with as well. I say, Laney.
I'm giving it to Kevin Schade for fleecing the Fulham defence. He turned on a sixpence. He made Fulham defender look like a complete and utter and pulled it back. And then Matty Jensen, he was there to scoop it home. It made it 3-1. The game was won. I know they scored in the 100th minute or whatever it was, but there was none of their fans there to see it. And I think Kevin Schade turning a Fulham defender inside out and showing the world what he's capable of. More from him like that next season, please.
You've not stolen my moment because you've described it perfectly. For me, that third goal going in against Fulham, because that 2-1, it was a little bit, it wasn't squeaky bum time because I still thought we were in control, but when we got that third goal, it was lovely because they thought they had it against us. They really did. And then we scored the third goal, and it was wonderful when we scored the third goal. But like I said to you, for me, it was not only the fact we scored the third goal, which basically meant the game was won, it was the fire drill that took place as a result of that third goal, which for me was such a wonderful moment. The fact that literally 1,700 or 690 Fulham fans left at that moment, to leave 10 Fulham fans left for the last 5 minutes of that game, or 10 minutes of that game, and then the 10 minutes of extra time was fantastic. And
they had their day out.
Yeah, that's right. And they decided to off home, you know what I'm saying, which is all good. So for me, that was just a marvellous moment. Thank you very much. And like I said, it was just into the new year as well. So happy New Year! Happy New Year! Holmes.
I had a non-Brentford one written down, but I have just remembered Rico Henry's lung-busting run against Man City for the winner. He was not involved in the goal. He did absolutely nothing, but he ran the length of the pitch to distract like Rodri or something, who wasn't involved either. He just that run to do nothing, to be not part of it, but the willingness to do it. Hats off, man! Bravo.
The Dutch.
I think it's Brentford related. Ivan Toney coming on for England, I think for me was a magic moment. All watching that, either at the grounds, on our phones, on the TV, texting, WhatsApping, just recognising what a monumental moment that was for him as a person, the club, and to us as fans. It was enormous for us. That was special.
Okay, right. I'm going to flip into everyone happy. Everyone happy? Nothing else to say? No, it's all good. Okay, we're going to flip into their worst moment of the season. I'm going to go into one here because I'm going to segue straight into the Dutchman here. And I mean, this wasn't pre-planned either. I'll segue into it because the thing about this year, weird season, because normally you talk about a season, you talk about the pre-season, after season, and tournaments come after the season before, so they're not really seen as part of the season. But the World Cup came bang in the middle of this season here. It smashed it in half. So as far as we're concerned, the World Cup is seen as part of this season. And the worst moment for me of this season was when England got knocked out by France in the World Cup. I was there behind the goal in Qatar. We were discussing this a bit earlier, and it was one of those weird World Cups. Like I said to you, I've been to 9 World Cups, and this was definitely down as number 9 in my list of World Cups. I had fun when I was there, because you can't fail to have fun when it's cold in England and it's warm in another country and you're with your mates. However, it wasn't the best World Cup. In fact, it was the worst World Cup. And that game, for me, was typical of what it was. You end up kind of trying to find something to drink beforehand, have a nightmare trying to get up there. You went behind the goal. We could have won. We didn't quite win. You sat there for an hour after the game, really miserable in the stadium, and then we went home and you couldn't even have a commiseration beer afterwards because all the bars were closed, and we went home and had a cup of tea at 2 o'clock in the morning. So that was how I celebrated England going out of the World Cup. So listen, any of you lot who's moaning about it, don't moan ever again. Anybody else? Talk about your worst moment of the season?
It shows you what a brilliant season we had. I'd say Ivan Toney missing a penalty against Newcastle was up there with the worst moments. I never thought he'd miss a penalty ever. You could say Ivan Toney getting banned, but we'll cope with that. But no, in the season itself, I'll probably go for the penalty miss. We had a couple of shocking results, and there were a couple of bad moments within that. But yeah, no, I'll go for the pen miss.
Okay, Lewis Holmes.
Just leading on from all the Ivan Toney chat, my worst moment was Ivan Toney getting banned. It's very personal, but I wasn't comfortable with the scrutiny that Ivan Toney had. Like I was getting WhatsApps and texts and all that sort of stuff. Oh, Ivan Toney's banned for ages, and loads of rubbish jokes about what the odds are Ivan Toney, and I wasn't comfortable with it. And you'll rarely find me saying I wish I was in League Two, but when the Ivan Toney story broke, I sort of wished I wasn't in the Premier League.
The Dutchman.
Like Laney says, I haven't really got that many that I can think of that really rate bad. I was quite grumpy when Mitrovic scored for Fulham in the last minute because it was Fulham and because it was him. Not really too many others. I'll save that for another one later on. No, I'll stick with it.
Ali.
Zanka's 96th minute own goal, Forest away. Because we were just sitting deeper and deeper and deeper. You could just see it coming. And then, it was... in fact, the whole of that week leading up to the City game, Zanka's own goal, going out to penalties on Gillingham in the Cup when we controlled the whole game. And I remember saying after the Gillingham game, it would be the most Brentford thing ever to now go to the Etihad and win. But that whole week was just...
Never going to happen. JB.
Yeah, well, for me, it was the Gillingham as well. I mean, the League Cup, you kind of felt maybe this season we could actually do something in the Cup, and we had with 3 Cup games. We had our shortest ever season with only 3 Cup games on top of our league games, didn't we? And losing to Gillingham on penalties, they scored all 6 penalties. That's the only side ever to score 6 penalties against us in a penalty shootout. And we had David Raya in goal, and they ultimately finished 17th in the 4th tier. That was the worst moment, really. I really felt we could do something in the Cup, and then we did that.
Even though I'll try and make you feel better here, Gillingham are highly rated to be in the top 6 in Division 2 this season as well. So, that's maybe a little bit of a sign, and maybe we gave them a bit of a perk up, JB.
Okay, we'll look out for that.
There you go. Right. Lottery numbers?
Raya didn't look like saving one of them either, did he? No.
Is it because he thought he's already leaving, is it?
Probably, yeah.
That's right. Anyway, we won't talk about that because it's a timeless podcast. But anyway, what we will say now is we're going to talk about the Beesotted Global Player of the Year. And I tell you something, because I know that Brentford did their Player of the Year, but what's interesting about this is, Brentford did their Player of the Year, and what they do is at the end of the season they say, who's your Player of the Year? And then you vote for the player that comes into the top of your head, and you vote for them, and, maybe if a player's had, a couple of good games at the beginning of the season, that might not count. But with our Player of the Year, literally every single game is voted upon. We've got the Tasmanian Bee, David Genford, who has been working hard on this from day one of the season, and I really appreciate the work you've done on this, the Tasmanian Bee. And he's called the Tasmanian because he actually lives in Tasmania, so what I'm saying, so he gets up about 4 o'clock in the morning to watch every single game, and what he does, he tots it up, and what he does is he works out, he gives everyone votes him, he gives a first, second and third place, and he's got this point system between them all, and then he's got this really accurate system which actually says who has won first, second and third place. So the winner of Brentford Beesotted Global Player of the Year is Ben Mee. And Ben Mee top with 32 points actually, and he fantastic, and he clinched it because the thing is, it was actually neck and neck between him and Ivan Toney, but obviously Ivan Toney wasn't playing for the last couple of games, so Ben Mee managed to slip into the lead, you know, captured by Ivan Toney because he wasn't able to be in the horse race at the time, unfortunately. So yeah, Ben Mee with 32 points, Ivan Toney in second place with 30 points, third place was David Raya with 27 points, and then we had Jensen and Pinnock equally 23 points, and then we had Mbumo and Henry in joint fifth place or seventh place with 22 points. So those are the players who are top of the pile: me, Tony Raya, Jensen and Pinnock, Mbumo and Henry. Laney, Dutchman.
What kind of a nuts world do we live in, eh, when Rico's only the seventh best player?
But this is the whole thing. But I can say to you, this is
how good a season we're having. I mean, what an amazing bunch of players we got when Rico is seventh. You know.
I make it joint fifth.
Well, no, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
That's just counting.
Yeah, that's right. Lady actually knows. Six, so joints. Mbumo and Henry are joint sixth. Jensen and Pinnock are joint fourth, actually, on 23 points. But just like, so it's me, Tony, Raya, Jensen and Pinnock joint fourth, and Mbumo and Henry joint sixth. Yeah. No, you should say that's right. So and so that's interesting. And like I said to you, these are counted every week. So this is what people's true thoughts are week on a week. So if they have a good game and a bad game, this is reflected in there. So it's just good. The person with the most man of the match performances were Ivan Toney and Raya. Thoughts about that, JB?
Yeah, I mean, that feels about right, doesn't it? Over the course of the season, both putting fine performances. Yeah. Totally agree with that.
That's right, and also the player that had the most top three finishes. So basically, you finished in first, second, or third place the most time was
Ivan Toney.
Ben Mee. So Ben Mee was consistently one of the top three players in every single game. The best game stretch, 13 votes, 3 best player awards. Games 4-9, Everton to Newcastle was Ben Mee as well. Okay, so Ben Mee basically came out top of the pile in this. So congratulations to Ben Mee, who is the Beesotted Global Brentford Player of the Year.
At this point, I should cough to the fact that I thought signing Ben Mee was a really bad idea, and I've never been more wrong in my life.
Okay. and it's just brilliant that we've got him on a 2-year deal, because we could have just said, oh, we'll take him as a 1 year with a 1 year, or, you know, even a 1 year option would have been a 2-year deal. But he's someone that should be playing for us as long as he can, because he's just a great human being as well as a brilliant footballer. So yeah, I'm just delighted he's with our club.
Indeed he is as well, and we're going to see whether or not we can actually get a little something with Ben Mee as well, because obviously he's won the award and we haven't put out awards for a while, and we might have to put a little phone call to see whether or not we can get the Ben Mee on the Beesotted Pride of West London podcast, because he seems, that's right, Ben, Ben definitely is a Mee time, yeah, that's right. So most definitely. Somebody had their hand up there.
Can I also say that Ben Mee's son won the award for the best after-match performance in front of the goal at the Man City game, because he was excellent.
No, you can't just say it's excellent, because people out there wouldn't actually know what you're talking about, Dutch, but you have to explain, please.
The players all brought their families on the pitch, as they do traditionally after the game, and all showboating in front of the West Stand like they do, and me.
How old is he?
I don't know, or Ben Mee.
No, yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, you should know. You got Wikipedia?
he looked 5 or 6, and he was thumping that ball in from a distance to the roars from the West Stand. He looks a promising young lad.
That's right.
I don't know if you saw the families lining up as the team came out. They gave the Guard of Honour, and all the players' families were out. Brian Mbumo's daughter doesn't look a bit like him. I don't know if you saw that.
No, we didn't actually, Laney. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, we should move on. That's obviously gone over my head. Has it gone over your head, JB?
Yeah, it's gone over my head.
Everyone's gone over everyone's head.
I'll find a photograph. Don't worry.
Okay. Right. Anyway, we should move on from that as well. So well done to Ben Mee, and like I said to you, hopefully Pride of West London, check it out. We'll have loads of stuff. No, we're not going to have loads of stuff. We're going to have some stuff over the summer, okay? And you can check that out. Hopefully we're going to have a little Mee man on there as well. Most improved Brentford player. I'm going to go first on this one. I'm going to say Hickey, because he was a player we thought, not sure about him. What do they see in him? how much we pay for him? What, 20 million euros? He's quite good actually, isn't he? And he has definitely come up in the last, I say month or so, not the last month, the last month of the season, maybe the last 6 weeks of the season. You can see what they've seen in him, and I know Brentford are like that because they do stick to their guns. And if they know and they see a player who's good, they will stick with them through thick and thin. Like managers, they'll stick through thick and thin. And obviously with Hickey, Thicky, stick with him through thick and thin, and that's what they've done. And now he's looking like he's looking like the one, isn't he, JB?
He looks very, very good indeed. Yeah, very composed.
And your player, your most improved player.
Most improved player, I'm going to go for one who just keeps increasing every year, is Vitali in midfield. I mean, actually this year he started more games than Norgard, but wherever we play him and whenever he comes on as sub, he's played at left back, he comes in as an extra centre back when we need it, and he's just getting and it's such an integral member of the team. And when he's not around for those 4 games that he wasn't there, you kind of miss him. So, Vitali is my...
Ali.
If we're going from previous seasons up to this, for me, it's got to be Jensen. I mean, he's always had the ability. We've always known he's had the ability to do great things, but he's never had the consistency. And he I don't know what he did over the summer. He went away to superhero camp, came back with a load of muscle on him. And I think he's been phenomenal this season. Absolutely, some of the balls he's played, over the top. His passing range has been excellent, and he works so hard at the pressing he does is immense. I think he's been fantastic. Player of the season for me, and definitely the most improved.
The Dutchman.
Matty, obviously great. I'm going to go for Brian. I think whilst he was great last year, I think this year he's been amazing. I think the increase in confidence, particularly towards the end of the season, the finishing, the goals that he's added to his game, the assists, he works so hard in that game. I think no one's unsung in that team anymore either. That's probably the wrong phrase to use, but he's an absolute quality player, and I think he's much, much better than he was last season.
The Holmes.
I had Jensen written down, but I should probably mention Ethan Pinnock. Opta Team of the Year, I think, has Pinnock in it. In his position, he is one of the best players in the league. So little got past him. He was so good at what he does. He's just a rock. I wanted to swear there, and I didn't swear. He's a rock.
Excellent. And I'll tell you something, I just thought about this, there's names pop out, and everyone in the sort of Beesotted crew, most of them has got a nickname as well, and I just thought, this is a bit of a rubbish one, but Sherlock.
I'll take it.
There you go, Sherlock. Right, there you go. You heard it here first on the Beesotted podcast, Laney.
Most improved player, well, just for variety, I'm going to go for Rico Henry, because I think not that there was anything ever wrong with him, but I think he's just gone to a completely different level. I think, it's almost a crime that he's not been invited into the England team, into the England squad. I think he's just he's become like almost nudging world-class kind of player now, where, world class as in international standard. He is, and he's someone that, we're worried about losing David Raya. I mean, losing Rico Henry would be a huge loss for our club. So yeah, he just seems to be getting better and better, and I use the word improved, not that there was anything wrong with him in the first place, but he has gone to literally another level. So Rico, yeah, tip my hat to you as well.
A lot of hat tipping going on. Everyone all happy? Everyone's done? Okay, this was all good. Okay, so listen, I'm going to go on to this as well. I want to just give a little brief one on this one as well, because I'm going to say this on a positive side. So must try harder as well. So we're not saying that players being bad. We're just saying that maybe let's just try a little bit better scenario of which players for that. And I'm going to go first on this one. I'm going to go for Onyeka. I did a review for the Observer at the end of the season. If you want to check it out, it's online as well. As well, observer.com, and it's at the end of the season review where all the fans had to give their reviews of the season. I did one for Beesotted on there, and I just said about Onyeka, and I said, I was really had big hopes for him, Frank the Tank Onyeka as well, but I just said that for me he hasn't quite reached the heights that I thought he would have done, and I think probably for himself. I know he's been injured and he's come back in. Ironically, he kind of made a couple of blunders against Tottenham, and he was yanked off against Tottenham, which actually turned the game around. But then saying that, after that he actually had quite a decent game, so maybe I have got no idea what I'm talking about. But I think Frank the Tank for me is the person. JB.
Mine would again be it's been an unfortunate season for him. Would be Chris Ayer. He's only actually played 9 games this season through injury. Nothing you can really do about that, which is the same number as Pontus, and Zanka started 11 games. So we really, for someone we spent rather a lot of money on, we really haven't seen anywhere near the best of him this season at all. So hopefully steering clear of injuries. Though quite how he's going to displace me and Pinnock, I'm not sure, but I'd like to see more of him next year.
Laney.
I'm going to have to go Frank the Tank as well, I'm afraid. This isn't a pile-in on him. He had a poor game up at where was it? It was at Chelsea. No, where was the Tottenham? Yeah. And we were like questioning his selection, but then he had a great game when he came back. So he's got the potential there, and it's not as if we've spent nothing on him. He's a fairly big investment from Midtjylland, and I'm expecting a lot more from him. So maybe it is next season. You got to hope. The signs are there that he's a really good player, but all those kind of predictions that he was going to get the ball and drive forward, and he was fantastic, and he contributed with goals. We've seen none of that. We have to see his potential fulfilled, and I think that he'll get all the coaching, he'll get minutes, he'll get support, but we need to see it more than glimpses.
Ali.
I had a toss-up actually of one of which was Onyeka, but so on the grounds everybody else has gone for Onyeka. I'm going to go for Josh actually. I mean, he's had some great moments, but he does drift and completely become anonymous in some games still at the moment. And undoubtedly, like Onyeka, we know the potential's there. We've seen flashes of the potential. He's scored some great goals, but yeah, I'm hoping there's still way more to come from him.
Sherlock.
I threw this one out to the brain trust that I sit with in the North Stand, and we all agreed that it was Damsgaard. Before you pile in, Damsgaard has progressed already, but if he just took a couple of extra steps, then those misplaced passes and those attempts on goals would be successful passes and would be goals. So if he tries harder, he's complete.
The Dutchman.
Yeah, I don't like the term try harder or improvement because that sounds more critical than it's meant to be, but I was going to say Josh as well, just because I think there's so much more in there that can come out. As Ali says, he's had some great moments, but we know what he's capable of, and a fit roaring Josh next year will be a massive addition to our squad. So it's not necessarily criticism, it's just there's more to come.
Definitely more to come. Listen, we've just got one little more part. We're going to finish off in the second part of this podcast because we go to the bar and get a few more beers. And this could be a little fun, actually, part as well, because we want to find out, actually, for you, who were for you the best fans to come down to New Griffin Park. I'm going to say for me first, the best fans that came down were Gillingham. Again, I put that in the Observer review that I did because I thought that they were wicked. They came down in numbers. They obviously got a bigger capacity because no one wanted to go, so they got more numbers. So they got over the 2,000, the 1,700. So they got about 2,500. They took the 2,500. They took it over. I think the weird thing about it as well is that the fact that we used to play Gillingham literally every single year. Again, the people that have only known Brentford for a year or two, literally this is the team that we've been to Gillingham. We've played them so many times. We've been down to that stadium, that Tin Pot Stadium that they've got with a rickety end, and we've been there and they've been to us, and we've just been kind of sort of mid-table, third-tier rivals for years and years and years and years. That's right. And then all of a sudden they've turned up for us, and it's really weird them turning up to us going, "God, we're going to Brentford, the Premier League side," and we turned up to that game and they won, and they made loads of noise, and fair play to them. I thought best fans this season, because I haven't been overly impressed with most of the Premier League fans, I have to say. JB.
Yeah, I was going to go for Gillingham because I just remember that game as horrendous traffic on the M4 getting into the ground and people sort of bailing out of cars, leaving their cars.
Gillingham, there's all sorts going on.
Chiswick roundabout, the Gillingham team had problems getting to the ground as well. So, but you felt it was their big day out and they were there to enjoy it. And as you say, the Premier crowds themselves, much for muchness, really.
That's right. Ali.
I was going to go for... I had a toss-up between Gillingham and... I thought Newcastle were pretty decent. They made a good amount of noise, to be fair. So, on the grounds that you two both gone for Gillingham, I'm going to go for Newcastle.
Laney.
Gillingham were good, but they brought a lot. But Leeds would have brought more, surely.
Yeah, I tell you something. I'm glad you pulled me up on that, Laney.
Yeah. For me, I thought Nottingham Forest were good. I thought they made a decent amount of noise. And considering the way the game ended, they took it in fairly good spirits. And we don't, because the way the ground's laid out now and the way the pubs are, we don't really see as many away fans as we used to, because where we drink and the proximity to the ground is different. But there was a lot of Forest fans here, and there was a lot of Forest fans here afterwards as well.
Here, what do you mean? In the
Globe.
Yeah, in the Globe. Yeah, there was loads of Forest fans, weren't there?
Yeah, there was, and I like that. And they were sitting here chatting, and a couple of them cried, which I liked a lot as well. But yeah, it was. I thought it was a good turnout, and they'll be back next year, and look forward to reacquainting ourselves.
And as you know, I've got a lot of Forest chums as well, and they were down here before the game, which was all good. And what I thought was quite interesting as well, because like they're chummy with you, and they're like, yeah, Bill, and everything like that. But then afterwards, when I sort of review, some of their social media, I could see that they're kind of like sort of not slating us off, but they're not happy of the association with Brentford, because what's happened is that if you remember, the first time that we played Nottingham Forest, and we played them back in the day, again when Matthew Benham bunked off school to go to, if I remember rightly, went to the League Cup game when we played them in the League Cup when they lost 2-0 back in the early 80s, I think it was, and then we did a special train up to Nottingham Forest, which I went on, which took about 25 hours to get up there. Anyway, so we went to, that was the back there. But then afterwards, when we played them again, when they came down to the third tier, they were the massive team, and we went up there, and it was like, what's it, European Cup to the LDV. We were singing to them, which was actually quite funny. They were really not happy, and then we beat them at their ground as well. So it's amazing, because for them, they were the big team, and we were the little minnows. Who are they? Now the irony is that they've come to us after we've been in this second division team time in the Premier League, and they've come up and they're playing us. And I think in a way they're sort of thinking, we are Forest, we're old school Forest, we are bigger than we should be, and they don't like the fact that technically we are sort of a more established team in this league than they are. So interestingly, Carragher, after they played the last game where there was, listen, the atmosphere is great, because at their ground the atmosphere is really great, and he compared Forest's atmosphere to Brentford. The Forest fans weren't happy at all. They were absolutely. How can he say we're like them? We're not like them. They're tin pot. So I thought that was quite interesting. I do like Forest as a team and go in there, but you need to just come away a little bit and just kind of calm yourselves down a little bit.
Yeah, there was a few looks on faces when you were saying to them, the thing is with the Premier League, you need to just take your points when they're available. And you're like, we were giving them advice, and they were like, who the fuck do you think you are giving us advice? They were really not happy about it. It's true. It was a really valid point.
I was very respectful.
You were, but they just weren't. They weren't happy to take advice from anything to do with Brentford.
That's right. Anyway, well, listen, they've taken the advice now. They're going to stay up, so I can give them a little bit more advice again next season. Anyway, Sherlock.
Best fans? Newcastle. I've got a Groove Valley. Yeah, great before, great during, great after.
Anybody else? The Dutchman? I've got the Dutchman. I thought, yeah.
I'm with you. I thought overall most have been underwhelming, really. I wonder whether some of that's because we're quite good at home. So for me, when you see a team getting behind their team when they're behind as opposed to when they're winning, I thought Arsenal made quite a lot of noise, but they were winning comfortably over time. I thought Brighton were quite good. I thought Newcastle were good, and I thought Forest were quite good. But it's much easier to give it to Gillingham, I think.
Is there a best away fan evacuation?
We're going to come back to it actually. Yeah. So listen, we're going to just come to this. We're going to go to the final category before we stop for another little break, because this is going to be quite a long podcast. But listen, this is summertime now, and you've got plenty of time to listen to this. You can actually kind of pause this and listen to us over about 7 days if you need to. Like, what I'm saying. I'm going to ask you, girls and guys in the house here, what we can do is that we can ask who do you think the worst away fan were, or maybe we could just have a poll to see whether or not, whoever we all think was is going to be top of the pile, because I think we probably are going to all come up with the same person. Yeah, let's quickly. The worst away fans at New Griffin Park this season, JB.
Well, sometimes you have
quickly.
Fulham.
Yeah, half and half tickets. Fulham.
It's got to be Fulham.
Fulham. This was not rehearsed. This was an absolute. Honestly, it wasn't, because listen, no one's been discussing anything here, but it was so obvious. It's a full house. Any team who comes down to their stadium after their team's done really, really well and goes and decides to leave with 10 minutes to go just because the other team's let in a goal and they're really upset, but you've done really well.
Train back to Guildford.
That's right, you've got to get a train back to Guildford or down to Putney, which is about 2 miles down the road. Honestly, I couldn't fathom, I couldn't get my head around it. So for me, right, that was just unbelievable, right? Because for 10 fans to leave, or 20 or 100 or 500 or 800, but for 1,690 fans to leave 5 minutes before the end, that was just disgraceful.
It's one of the best tweets of the season. I can't remember who did it. Someone will add in, but when the Fulham players went over to throw their shirts into the crowd, they had 3 left over because there was no one to give them to, which I think was an absolute...
Ali.
You just got to say fair play to the 3 Fulham fans who actually stayed, really.
That's right. And the thing is, and we know as well, listen, we're mates with Sammy from Fulhamish, but as you know, our relationship with the Fulhamish is we like to just, we like to turn the needle on them. They try to turn the needle on us, but because we've got so much more ammunition than the way they have, our needle goes a lot further than they did. And this one really hurt them badly. I mean, Sammy didn't take it too well. In fact, to be quite honest with you, Sammy from Fulhamish, actually, he sent me like a 3-minute rant. Basically, he did. He sent me a 3-minute rant, basically defending his position for leaving the game early. And I listened to it, and I said, Sammy, mate, I can't put that out, mate, because if I do, you're gonna get slaughtered. You know what I'm saying? I can't even go there because he's a mate of mine. You know what I'm saying? It was quite bad. It was quite bad. But he went on there and he completely defended them leaving early. There was all sorts of nonsense in there about this and going down the road at quiches and that's right, and honestly none of it made sense, and I just thought that he probably got had a temperature and he needed to go home and lie down. But Laney,
I've got nothing more to say.
That's right, he's got nothing more to say because Laney has now been sent off to the bar to get some more drinks. We're going to come back and we're going to discuss a little bit more about this season. This is part 1 of a 2-part podcast. You can catch both parts of the podcast on prideofwest.london.